for it to start. Here we go. Now you're live.
Yeah.
I'll never get used to that. It's like you're sitting there waiting for it. Ding, 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 ding. It's like you're live. Oh my goodness. So hello, good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are. My name is Angie Snowball Thompson, and I'm here again with Business Without Borders. Thank you for joining me today. And we are going to Belgium today with my very fun friend, Pierre-Nicolas Schmitt, who I think has the coolest nickname ever. Everyone said, did you meet Pinot? Did you meet Pinot? And I thought, I don't know, but Pinot is one of my favorite wines, whether it's Gris, Grigio, or Noir. I really want to meet Pinot. So Pinot here has a wonderful nickname. He's joining me from Belgium, and he's actually Belgian. And if you've ever been to Belgium, you'll realize that is not easy to find. No lives in Belgium's from Belgium. So Pierre-Nicolas, welcome. Thank you for being here today. And I would like to start by having you tell me a little bit about yourself and what you do.
Hey, yeah, Angie, thank you very much for hosting me today and having me as a guest. So yes, indeed, I'm living in Belgium. Originally, actually, I'm French.
Man, I didn't find a real Belgian.
No, but that's not a problem because I'm more Belgian than French. So I was born in France. My father is from France, but my mom is from Belgium. And when I was 4, we moved to the Flemish part of Belgium. So I've actually lived most of my life in Belgium. So I'm more Belgian.
You're as Belgian as I ever found after like years of living there. So
yeah, absolutely. I'm Pierre-Nicolas Schmitt. I have my own audio production post-production company called Sonata Productions, and I'm actually an audio engineer and an audio consultant. So that means that I specialize in sound recording and mixing, and I actually help other entrepreneurs to achieve the best sound for their audiovisual projects. Because let's be honest, sound holds like 70 to 80% of the quality and the content of a project, an audiovisual project. Because if you think about it, if you have an amazing picture, but you don't have any sound, it's just weird and you're not looking at it and you're not following it. And if you have the inverse, if you have bad video, but you have great sound, well, basically you have a podcast or radio. So that works really well. And a lot of people are following that. So sound is very important and often neglected. And that's one of the things that I coach and teach entrepreneurs about, how they can achieve the better sound quality. And of course, as an audio engineer, I record sound on movie sets. And of course, I do a lot of post-production, podcasts, feature commercials, corporate projects, and a lot of stuff like that.
And I am going to get warmed up here with Belgium, but if you are just tuning in, because sometimes people pop by in the last 10, 15 minutes, one of my focuses on having Pierre-Nicolas here today was the sound, because there are so many people. We were just talking before we popped on, just like me. Everybody's getting out their Facebook lives, their LinkedIn lives. We have no idea what we're doing. We're all going to Amazon, buying the ring light and all these things, and all the professionals are thinking, oh, what are you doing? And one of those reasons is, honestly, some of the stuff that we are kind of funneled to buy, I'll use that word, it's already expensive. Pierre-Nicolas was talking, some of the things we could buy, it's not about the cost. We're just buying the wrong thing. So I love that he has this academy also. Like, you don't have to pay the fancy movie maker guy, but the fancy movie maker sound guy, Pierre-Nicolas Schmitt, will teach you how to do it professionally on your own. I mean, that's an amazing gift that he can give you, and it's available to all of us. So we're definitely coming back to that. So I wanted to put it out there right now in case you're joining in the beginning, but I also want to come back to it at the end because we have people pop on and off. I want to make sure we hit that a couple of times. But absolutely. So let's talk a little bit about Belgium. And I'm going to put him on the spot because it was so cool. I said, I have a few things to talk about. And he shows me papers. He's like, I already looked up Belgium. I'm ready for anything you're going to ask. So let's
not
test
anything.
him.
I hope I love a lot of things, but not everything. So I hope I have what I need.
I was so impressed. I was like, nobody does homework. This is awesome. This is so cool. So I think one of the first things, well, also I love Belgium because I live there as well. So I lived in Brussels for a while in Avenue Louise Dusson, and I realized I did not have to speak French. So I was very excited when I moved to Brussels because I thought, oh, I speak French. I also learned I didn't speak French. I understood French and I passed it in school. Once I got there, I needed everyone to like slow down. But Brussels is very interesting. And Belgium in general, you have 3 national languages, right? You have French, Flemish, and German towards the Luxembourg border, your 3 national languages. I would say the majority of people speak English in Brussels. However, when I moved north, that was a little different. How do you feel about languages in your country? Does everyone speak Flemish, French, English, German? What are your thoughts on language?
We have a lot of languages, of course, in our country. That's true. We have 3 official national languages. It's Flemish or Dutch. It's actually the same language, but with a different accent. Like you would say American English and British English. It's the same language, but different way of accents. And so we have Flemish, we have French, and we have German. So the northern part of Belgium speaks Flemish. The southern part speaks, and the east of the country, a very, very small part that speaks German. But the main 2 languages in the country are French and Flemish or Dutch. I would say that a lot of the schools and the schooling system is pushing on everyone in the country to learn as much as possible all those languages. And you have, of course, that difference a little bit between those sections. So, for instance, when children go to school, from the age of so they have their language that they speak when they live in that specific part of Belgium. So, for instance, if you live in the French part, the Walloon part, the first language you learn, of course, in school is French. The second language you can choose between Dutch or English. And the third language will be that other language that you didn't choose. So that means that we actually get to learn around the whole country at least 2 to 3 languages, and we can go off, of course, to go more. If you, for instance, I studied science and modern languages, and so I had the 4 languages. I had first Dutch, then because I lived in the Flemish part of Belgium, the Dutch part. So I had first Dutch, then I had French, then English, and then German was the 4th language that I learned in school. So what you notice, of course, that more and more people, of course, with the involvement, I would say the involvement of the media in general, we have a lot more access to, of course, I would say international content. And in general, you see that the French and the Dutch students are more focusing on learning English than necessarily on learning the other language, so French or Dutch, in the way around. So I would say that the more and the more the years are passing by, the more and more people are starting to speak English. Of course, if you're traveling around the capital, around Brussels, you will mainly find those 3 languages. You will find a lot of English, of course, but both French and Dutch. Although the Brussels capital has actually about 80% of the inhabitants that speak French at the basic. So it's a little bit less Dutch that you can find there. So it's a lot of French and English that you will find in Brussels.
Yeah, that's so interesting to me, because the other thing I found when I lived there was you guys can switch like this. I mean, most people French, I mean, they'll look at one person, look at the other person, speak 2 different languages, and then look at me and say, oh, did you understand? In English. I really found it to be linguistically amazing. So also funny to me is that Flemish language. So Monica, good morning, Monica. She's here with us today. Monica's from Germany, and she'll probably, you guys will appreciate this. So I speak German, ich kann gut Deutsch. But my godson is Flemish, lives in Ghent, and he's, when I was there, he was about 4 when I visited, and he's talking, and I can understand a good deal of what he says. Not everything, but a good deal of it. But I can't talk back to him. So I thought, well, if I can understand that, maybe he can understand German, right? I'll just talk to him in German. And he looks at Siska and he says, what's wrong with Aunt Angie? So she speaks really bad Flemish. I said, yes, I do. But it's so funny how languages work, because I thought, well, that's crazy. It's so close. Maybe he'll understand me. He says, no, there's something wrong with my aunt. And also want to say hi to Owen. He's here this morning. Hi, Owen. So good. He's the lighting guy. he's the one who says, "Why are you using a ring light?" I said, "Because Amazon told me to." So if you have sound issues, you go to Pino. If you have light, you have to go to Owen. You guys need to team up. So yeah, language is really interesting. What else is interesting, and I'm just going to share a picture here of, because I usually start with this, Americans specifically are absolutely terrible with geography. We have no idea where anything is. So this is Belgium. It's situated north of France, surrounded a little bit by Germany, Netherlands to the north. So that's where Belgium is. And also things it's famous for. So it looks really small, but there is a lot that comes out of Belgium. I mean, you've got the European Union there. You've got so much going on there. Probably one of my favorite things that comes out of Belgium, though, is the chocolate. And I think that's, well, I don't know. It's between chocolate and beer. I can't decide. But the chocolate, oh, my gosh. So Belgium's produced more than 220,000 tons of chocolate.
Yeah. And that's
phenomenal.
That's export. So 220,000 tons of chocolate. So to eat a lot of chocolate as well. That's not exported. So
that is absolutely insane. I mean, that is, I don't know if you can like fathom that, but that's just a ton of chocolate. And I will say, like, I'm totally spoiled on chocolate because other countries will say, I have the best chocolate. I have the best chocolate. And I lived there 21 years ago is when I lived in Belgium. So it's been a really long time. For 21 years, I've never tasted better chocolate. And I really don't believe that, like, because now you can buy Belgian chocolate. I mean, some of it's just not the same as like Neuhaus and stuff that you get at Zaventem. It's just not. Now, are you as obsessed with chocolate as I am? I mean, is that like a Belgian thing? Or do we just like that as foreigners?
No, I guess it is a Belgian thing. It's like you talk about French with their cheese and their wines. It's a bit the same for the Belgians with the chocolates, the waffles, and the beers. It's just the thing that a lot, I would say everyone, there are people that do not like chocolate in Belgium as well. But yeah, of course, I think a lot of people enjoy chocolate and beers. And it's indeed one of the things that we're known for. Of course, well, you already mentioned the export of the chocolate, but the beers, that's actually one of our main product as well. If you see that in Belgium alone, we produce more than 3,000 different kinds of beer that are spread over more than 200 breweries. It's such a small country. That's a lot.
That's a lot.
And you have them.
Yeah, I got some of, well, and one of the things I loved about the beer, this just fascinated me when I was over there, was one of my favorite was Duvel, right? And but if you order your beer and they don't have the glass, because your beers come with matching glasses, they will not serve it to you. Like the guy, I was sitting in a restaurant, ordered a Duvel, and he looks over and he says, when he's done. So the other guy is sitting there with the last Duvel glass. He's like, when he's done. In the meantime, if you'd like a different one. But I think that's so funny too, because it's not just like a gimmick or something. It's all about how the beers breathe. And so I'm very serious about their beers, which I think is really, really cool. Of what they do with beer. So lots of beer. Oh, there's my Duvel on the very end. Yeah. And waffles. You mentioned waffles as well. I love the waffles. I love because I was all excited about Belgian waffle. That's the one thing I did know. I have to tell you, moving from a small town in Kentucky to Belgium, I remember telling my family I was moving to Belgium, and they said, "What country is that in?" It's in its own country.
Remember more if you talk about Brussels than you talk about Belgium.
They do. They really do. So everybody knew Brussels, but it was like Belgium. Like Brussels is in Belgium, and it's its very own country. But the one thing we do know here are Belgian waffles. And so I was very excited to get the waffles, and I went to a few restaurants. I swear I think the best waffle comes out of the guy in the van. Like the guy in the van that drives around to the grocery stores. I don't know who that guy is, but I swear he is the best waffles.
And that's the thing. If you walk by the bigger cities in Belgium, you will have that smell of waffles when you're closing by to a cart of waffles. That is just killing you. It's just amazing that when we get that smell, you immediately start water tooting to getting the taste of waffles. So that's the crazy thing when you visit the bigger cities, you have a lot of these carts and places where you can get those waffles. And yeah, the smell is crazy as well.
Oh my gosh, I know. It's just like, and I can't even focus when I'd be there and I just don't. And for me, it was always at Deleuze, like right in front of the grocery store. So I'd start going grocery shopping and all I can think about is the waffles. I have no idea what's in my cart. I have no idea what I'm doing. It's just this incredible smell. It was amazing. Yeah. So we already have some questions here. Owen is saying the Smurfs. I mean, things Belgium are famous for. Obviously the Smurfs, that's people's favorite thing. We have Belgian waffles. Yeah, it is. It's heaven on earth. That's what we have. And then we've got Havana. Good morning, Havana. Thank you for being here today. She's also on the chocolates. Look how famous Belgium is. And then we have now we have
Friedbelge. Aha. We come to the fries. That is also one of our. Actually, the fries, French. You see the French fries, but actually, fries are from Belgium, and we're famous for our fries. So actually, there are three main national dishes, I would say, that you can find. We have, as far as the stoofvlees, which is basically steak and an ale stew. Then we have moule frites, and that's mussels with fries. And we have the boulet, and that's, of course, the Belgian meatballs. Yeah. But so indeed, the Belgian frites. Oh yeah. That's definitely. You can find it as well. You go to all cities here in Belgium, and you will find that frietkot, the place where they have those frites, and you can just get frites with a meatball or something like that on top.
Yeah, and I love the little guy. Sometimes that little man that sits, the little French fry guy. He's on top of the frietkot. He's so funny to me. I love him. I actually went to Bonaire, and it's a very like Dutch, Flemish type of area too. It's an island. And I saw that guy, the little frietkot guy. I'm like, what's he doing in Bonaire? It was so exciting. I was like, there's going to be amazing fries in there. And you're right. It's funny. We could say French fries, but oh my gosh, no, Belgium's got. The only thing is that mayonnaise. They eat it with mayonnaise. You guys do your French fries with mayonnaise. That freaks me out. I never got used to that one.
You don't need to. Actually, you have a lot of choices, and that's a good thing. It's that they offer different kind of sauces depending on what you want. But yeah, probably if you really want to get Belgium, it's mayonnaise and then stoofvlees. Add stoofvlees on that to the steak and ale stew. Yeah, that's typical as well.
Yeah, we had that when, so my son was actually born in Belgium, and on his 16th birthday, we went back to Belgium to have his first beer. His first is probably where I should really put those air quotes. We went to have his first official beer in Belgium, and that was just so funny. And that was what we ordered because Siska was so excited. She's like, "Oh, we're gonna get this. We're gonna have that," and Jack was like, "What is this? Just eat it. It's gonna be really good." It was so fun. We really had a great time. So I do have, hi, Rachel. Rachel's here. Monica's, again, we're talking about the beers. She's native Czech, but so she's going to go with their beers. But very, very cool.
Well, then I'll invite Monica to come to the Delirium Cafe in Brussels. It's actually a cafe in Brussels that is amazing. And they serve more than 3,600 different kind of beer. So you will have all the Belgian beers, and they have a lot of export beers. Also, the Czech beers are there as well. So if you really want to taste beers, definitely come to Brussels. Go to the Delirium Cafe, and you will taste all the different kind of beers that you can imagine.
Oh, that's so. It's such, and honestly, it's just an amazing place to be. One of the questions I was going to ask you, also talking about going to Belgium, is this guy. So I was reading about this. I don't know if he's in your notes or not. What can you tell me about where this guy? So this is, I don't know how you pronounce it, but I would say
Mannekepis.
Okay, I would say Mannekepis too, which is funny because yes, that's kind of a vulgar American word for what he's doing, piss. But that's what he's doing, pissing.
Yeah.
and So from what I know, from what I remember from living there, was that they put this here because there was a little prince that ran off from a parade into the quarter and then did this. But this guy, he gets dressed up. Like they'll put, I saw him at Christmas. They put a little Santa outfit on him. He's dressed up in this picture here. One thing that really amazed me is he's really tiny. He really is the size of a toddler. Like before I got there, I thought it would be some big giant statue. I'm like, oh my gosh, I can pick him up. He's like life-size toddler that ran into the corner and took a piss.
Yeah, if you think about the national monuments that you can find for all the different countries, when you think about Paris with the Eiffel Tower and the Statue of Liberty for you guys, and you come to Belgium and our national is like that big. It's super small.
It's so small, and there's like a gift shop right next to it, and the ones you can take home are bigger than him. Like there's
sometimes, indeed.
I was like, oh my gosh, that guy's bigger than the actual one. That's so funny. But that I love getting through that because I think that's such a cute one. But in all honesty, Belgium is so beautiful, and I remember taking my son there because he'd been when he was little. Like he was born there. We moved around, and I don't know, he went when he was 5 or 6, but we went back when he was 16, and he said to me, he goes, Mom, why don't more people come here? This is like Italy without crowds. This is beautiful. Everything's here. And he's right. I mean, the canals, the beauty. So tell me, what are some of your favorite places to visit? What are some of the things that you would highlight if you told people, let's go to Belgium?
There are a lot of different ones, and all depends on what you like, what you prefer. If you prefer to focus on cultured things, if you want to prefer on visiting the Atomium, going to Ghent, going to Bruges, going to Antwerp. So there are a lot of cities that have different visual aspects that you can, depending on what you like and dislike. For instance, there are a lot of parts in Belgium that are beautiful as well. In the Walloon area, go to Durbuy. Durbuy is known as the smallest city in the world. It only has 500 inhabitants, but it's actually not a city. It's a small town hall, I would say. Very little town in the countryside, in the French part. But it's gorgeous as well, and it has a lot of mountains as well. Oh, mountains, hills. I would say hills.
Yeah.
Because we don't really have mountains in Belgium. And also one of the things that Belgium is actually, not very known for, but which is true, we have actually the most different castles in the country. So
really?
we're the country with the most castles per square mile. So if you want to see castles, definitely come to Belgium. There are a lot of them, and you can find them everywhere. So you see, depending on what you're looking for, you will really have it at your taste. And one of the things that Belgium is also known for, not many people know that, but is the Antwerp diamond industry. And you had a picture of that as well.
I do.
Because you have to know that about 85% of all rough diamonds come through the diamond industry in Antwerp to be cut and to be polished. So, that's also one of the huge exports and things that happens in our country as well. So if you love diamonds, definitely come to Antwerp as well in the diamond industry or district, sorry. So depending on what you like, we have a lot of beautiful cities, a lot of beautiful nature. And actually one of the projects that I've been working on as a sound engineer, we actually, I think in a week or two, next week for the National Holiday of Belgium, we will bring out a promotional video that I created with a video friend of mine. And we filmed the most beautiful, but not necessarily the most known places in Belgium to show that there is a lot more that you can see in the country itself. And I think a lot of Belgians even don't know all the beautiful spots we have here in our own country.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so definitely a lot of things you can discover here in Belgium.
And it's really amazing. And I had the benefit, and I always say the benefit because I'm guilty of that here. In fact, I have a friend, she lives about 5 hours away from where I am now. And she said, hey, we're coming to this place called Cox Arboretum. I said, okay. She says, well, it's right by your house. I said, what? you're driving 5 hours to go to something next to my house I've never heard of. Because that's what happens, right? You get comfortable where you are and you don't realize what's around you. So I had the benefit of being an expat in Belgium, and I really got to see a lot of things. But you're so right. So many times I would say, wow, I can't believe I went to this chateau. And they're like, what? I said, it's a 10-minute walk. Like, how do you guys not go? You know, I had a picnic at chateau, and I was like, what? And then, oh my gosh, it really is amazing. Yeah, so many wonderful things there. And you're really popular, Pierre. I can't keep up with all the comments that are coming through about you. Apparently Belgium is really popular, but really generally small country. We've got diamonds, beer, chocolate. I mean, all these amazing things. Only 12 million people there, 11.5 million people. But amazing things coming out of there too. We've got Smurfs. Audrey Hepburn was born there. Jean-Claude Van Damme.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I say Tintin.
Tintin, yeah, in French you would say Tintin, but Tintin, yeah.
Tintin. Yeah, the little guy with the dog, for anybody who doesn't know Tintin. But he did have a recent movie here. But one guy that really surprised me was the co-inventor of the World Wide Web is Belgium. Where would the world be without the World Wide Web? I mean, everything we're doing for the last, years, it's from this guy, and he is from Belgium. Amazing. So amazing people, amazing industry, a lot of business coming out of there, a lot of business coming and going. I think we did have a question about what is the official language of the authorities there. Somewhere.
Well, that's the thing, is that depending on the region, it's another language, because in the Flemish part it's Dutch, or Flemish. In the French part it's French. And in the Brussels area, depending on your commune, it's French or Dutch, and mostly French in Brussels. And there actually some regions are adding English on top of that.
Yeah, that's really, really crazy. So when I worked there, I worked for Procter & Gamble. So for the most part, it was English for me until I was in the city at night or whatever. But the European Union is there. And that was a lot of French to me. So a lot of the European Union was either English or French. My friends from there. That's where I really... And
we have the European Parliament, and the official language for the European Parliament is French.
Yeah. So really interesting how that works in such a small country. You got 3 languages, all these amazing people, all this stuff, lots of business going to and through their ports, diamond cutting, all kinds of stuff happening there. As I mentioned, I'm trying to catch up with all the comments here. Let's look. Rachel is still here. She has a question for us. So we recommend...
And that's...
We didn't even get there yet.
Another thing. I would say indeed Belgium is known for other things as well. I would say if you look at the Belgian people in general, I would say the common traits that you can find is politeness, we're hardworking, a lot of appreciation for cultures in general, and family values, and partying. Of course, we're the country that produces most different kind of beers. Beer is connected to partying, and that's true. We organize a lot of festivals every year, and it's true, we have the most known festival and the biggest festival actually around the world is Tomorrowland, and it happens in Belgium. It started in Belgium, in Boom, near Antwerp.
So is it worth going to? That's the question.
Well, it's definitely, I would say it's definitely something, if you have the opportunity to go there. Experience it. Live it. It's not for everyone. Not everyone enjoys that. But I would definitely... I've been 3 times to Tomorrowland. I've been lucky enough to get the tickets to go. And honestly, it's an amazing experience. You have 15 stages, more than 400 different performers that are there. Now they actually do it even on 2 weekends, because one weekend was just... There's so high demand for tickets that actually did the two weekends after each other. And if you look at it, I think they have more than 400,000 people on the event on one day. So that's a lot of people packed together that are partying. And what is true as well is that Tomorrowland is known for the decorations that they make and the stages that they create. It's very, a lot of design, a lot of thoughts about the team that they create, that really creates an amazing experience together. And that's what Tomorrowland is all about. It's not just about going to the music and listening to the music performers and the DJs, but it's really about the complete experience you get when you go there. And even I know for the foreign countries, they have special planes where they have the DJ in the plane when they come to the party, to Tomorrowland. So they have a lot of things that they do which is just amazing.
That is so crazy. And again, I mean, oh my gosh, we've been talking about 30 minutes, and there's constantly something that's amazing that's coming out of Belgium. It's not just a small thing.
It is.
I mean, Rachel, I think, is from Malaysia, and she's asking about Tomorrowland. I mean, it is all over the world. And I know we tried to do a version here in the United States in Atlanta, and it's just, I had a couple of friends, Eric, and came from Belgium, like, yeah, you guys didn't get it.
No, it's not the same. And they did it in the Alps as well, and they did a version in the Alps in France as well. And well, that didn't go as planned either. So.
Yeah, oh, that's funny. Well, Rachel's going to come see you, I think, for Tomorrowland. She's pretty excited.
With pleasure.
So, Rachel, thanks for tuning in. Glad to hear some questions. And then I just want to quickly say hi to a few other people that popped on. Hey, Johan, good to see you. And Deepesh here asking about the food dishes in Belgium. Are there any options for vegetarians? Well, you can have fries.
Fries? So in fries?
Mussel.
No, of course. But there are a lot of things that, of course, that's the interesting part as well, is that we have a lot of different cultures that are represented here in Belgium as well, and communities. So we enjoy food from a little bit of everywhere and all different styles. And that's what I said. We have a lot of appreciation for culture. So that means that you can find a lot of different cultures in Belgium as well, especially if you look at Brussels. Brussels has is the second. No, how can I say it? Well, the level of international presence in Brussels is second only to New York. So
wow,
that's what I mean. In Brussels, that's why you will find a lot of people speaking English as well. Because it's a huge part of Brussels. If you talk about the European Commission, the European Parliament, the European everything around there, the NATO, there's just a lot of expats here in Brussels, and countries and cultures that come with it.
Yeah, we had talked about that because I was trying to get M to join too, because he's originally, I think, from. His parents are from Africa or whatever, but he's from England, and he's expat. And he's like, oh, I can't do show up Belgium because I'm an expat. I said, find me a real Belgian. There's so many. Siska, my friend Siska, she's a real Belgian. But it's funny because you're right. It's so international. Mm-hmm. I mean, of all the time living there and visiting and doing everything, you rarely meet a Belgian. I mean, you always be sitting at dinner. I was like, oh, I'm from here. I'm like, actually from Belgium. It's so open internationally to working with so many people. Mm-hmm. And I think that I hope that with everything being so big business, it's always been great, but I hope now that we are kind of borderless with Zoom and Skype and everything, and everybody's loving the online stuff, like with your Sound Academy. I'm really hoping that people start to see the beauty of working with Belgians, because your culture is so open. I mean, there is no judgment whatsoever. And I always think of Belgium as the kids that get along at the playground, right? Because everybody, like, you're open, nobody judges, everything's just like, that's interesting. That's fun.
But I would say that depends on where you go.
Okay, that's why I love this,
Because, again, that depends a lot on the city or the place where you go and what kind of people that you can find there. So I would say that when you say kids on the playground get along, I would say bullying is just an international thing, and you will find that as well in Belgium. But it just depends where you are, who you surround yourself with, and the people that you like. If you get in the comfort zone with the same kind of people as yourself, you will enjoy that as well. If you want to discover a new style of living, that you can do that as well. And you can find real Belgians real Belgians, but then you would more go to the countryside. You will find
Right.
them more there. And the bigger cities is a lot of international, a lot of expats, and the smaller cities you can find, or the countryside, you will find more real local Belgians.
You made a great analogy earlier when you mentioned that it's the second to New York in international people, because New York's the same way, right? Like,
Yeah,
who's from New York? You go to New York, try to find a real New Yorker. They really pride themselves on that if there's a real New Yorker. So
absolutely.
yeah, no, I do. I love the way. It's another interesting thing about Belgium, and I'm terrible at this. I don't remember when it was, but you guys have the record for going the longest time without an official government.
I don't know how long it is exactly, but yeah, it's long, a few years, I think. Two
Yeah.
years?
Oh, it's
3 years,
crazy.
4 years? I don't know, something like that.
It was so long because I just remember talking to Siska, like, it'd be like 6 months later, and it was almost a joke. I'm like, you guys have a government yet? She's like, yeah, whatever. No.
That means, we can function without a government.
I know. There you go. Kids playing well at the playground together, getting along. Like,
no, but that's the thing. If you get so much diversity, and since we have those 3 different languages, official languages, and the 3 different parliament systems, French speaking, the Dutch speaking, the German, and all that combined, well, of course, the government is created by combination of all those things. And all these different places have different mentality and different way of seeing things. And it clashes a lot. And that's why there was always, I would say you always have had that little tension between the Flemish and the French, the competition with, the Walloon people, that there's always been a competition between both of them, some tensions between them, sometimes more, sometimes less. And there's certain people that would love to see Belgium divided in two, the French part disconnected and the Flemish part disconnected. So you have all those different mindsets, and with that international aspect on top of it, well, try to find a good mix of all that together. And that's why often the elections and find the government is a bit tricky in Belgium.
Man, that's so crazy to me too, because you're right about that. Like, I feel like Brussels, I guess, was this little bubble in between Wallonia and Flanders, right?
Yeah.
So there are those things, but it's, to me as an American, so tiny. And there's like 2 countries warring inside this little tiny thing.
Yeah.
Dude, look at us. We're huge. We get along. This is
No, but
crazy.
It's true. And we get along as well in the long run. It's just on minor details that it can get a little tense, but yeah.
But I think that's cool to, like, one thing that's really neat about that is it does show how important culture is. Like, it's that deeply rooted that in such a small area, I mean, you're not going to find people from Flanders that are just willing to, like, oh, it's cool. We can just make French our language. It's cool. Just change all the signs. And that's never going to happen. I mean, the culture is so deeply rooted. And I also thought it was really interesting when I lived there. It really depended on whom you were speaking with, what the name of the town was.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, and how you spelt it, or where are you going to, Leuven? Are you going to Leuven? Are you going to, and I used to think, sometimes I thought they were 2 different places, because I obviously didn't speak any Flemish. And at the time I didn't speak German. So I was like, where are we going? Which town are we going to? And it's the same one, but the culture can be so deeply rooted that it's interesting.
Well, I think you gave a good and maybe a bad example in the same time, is that indeed we use actually in both languages, so in French and in Dutch, the 2 main languages spoken in Belgium, we indeed name sometimes one certain city differently. But you just gave the example of Leuven, which is actually not the best, in a sense that, so until I think the 60s or the 70s, Leuven, which is in the Flemish part of Belgium, has all the biggest universities there, is known for a big university city. I think 80% of the inhabitants of the city are students. So
oh my gosh,
it's really the university hotspot. But up until then, the whole education was in French.
Really?
And actually, the Flemish protested because they were in the Flemish region and the university were in French in the Flemish region. So there was a protest, and there were actually quite some problems that happened there because of it. And then they created Louvain-la-Neuve, which is in the French part of Belgium, and is actually the same university, but then for the French. And so officially in Leuven, they started to teach in Dutch, and then or in Flemish, and in Louvain-la-Neuve, they started to teach in French.
Oh
and so
my gosh.
sometimes, and that's tricky because when we are talking about, the Flemish are talking about Leuven, they're really talking about Leuven, so in Flanders. But when the French speaking are talking about Louvain, they can talk or about Leuven or about Louvain-la-Neuve. So there's two different cities that come out of that. So that's sometimes the tricky part.
That is so crazy. Yeah, that by the way is another beautiful city that was it was funny because I think I stopped to like get gas there. I'm like, what? This is crazy. This is like an amazing place. It's just not even on the map. It's so wild. Oh gosh. Okay, so Rachel has a question. Yes, Audrey Hepburn is from Brussels. And Monica brings up here, which is a great segue because when I posted about us doing this, so many questions about football. Everybody, you have famous football players, and everyone's like, oh, this guy, and I'm not a huge football fan, I know. But
then we have the most wins in cycling. Cycling is a thing in Belgium as well. And the Tour de France, the most winners are Belgium. So we are really a cycling country as well. But you can find a lot of different sports there. Indeed, skiing, then you will need to go to the Alps or going to France or Austria. There are a lot of different countries you can go for that, not too far away. So that's the cool thing about Europe as well, I guess, is that for instance, for you guys in the States, you're used to traveling 5-6 hours. But if from Belgium, so if you want to go from the two furthest points in Belgium, you're driving 2.5 hours, maybe 3 hours, if there are no traffic jams, of course. Because don't underestimate the traffic jams in Belgium. That's a negative part.
Yeah, that's true.
But so it's a very small country, and in 5-6 hours we can already be quite far in other countries in Europe. So there are a lot of options to do that. If I want to, for instance, go skiing and snowboarding, I can go to the Vosges, and that's about 3 or 4 hours driving. So that's not that far if you look at it that way.
And you've got the fast trains. You got the train that goes to London, the Channel. I mean, there were so many times we just went over there for the weekend. I mean, I don't remember how long it was. I don't think it was more than 2 hours though to take the Channel over to.
Yeah, it's something like that. I think 1 hour 45 minutes.
Yeah, I think it was very. I remember taking my dad though. He was so disappointed because I mean, granted, this was 20 years ago, but my dad came to visit and he was so excited about the Channel. And I thought, why are you? It's dark. It's a hole. You don't see anything. Why are you excited about the Channel? No. I think he had in his head that we were going to go under the water and like see fish, like it was an aquarium or something.
No.
It's just dark. It's just a quick way to England. But you get that, and then Paris, I think, is the same. Like under 2 hours, get to Paris on a fast train. So it's definitely worth a stop and a good place to visit. So what did I miss? We have another question here. What are the best months to visit Belgium? Rachel's really planning her trip.
But Rachel, that depends a lot on what you're looking for, what you want to discover. Depends. If you go to the very touristic cities, the whole year round is nice. Around Christmas is nice because then you have the Christmas villages a little bit everywhere, which is cool. Then for Tomorrowland, of course, that's summer. That's end of the last weekends of July, so that you're in the middle of the summer. Depending on what you want to do, is it more sports, more culture? There are a lot of different things in different moments. We are a middle European country, so weather gets kind of rainy. Right. Maybe not as rainy as the UK sometimes, but we are a rainy country as well. The weather depends a lot on when you come, if you are in a good period or not. Now it's raining for a good week. It's raining right now a lot, but I would say if you were here a month ago, we had amazing weather nearly for the whole month. So that depends a lot on the moments and what you're looking for and what you want to do.
Yeah, yeah. What I would say though, and you can tell me if I'm right or wrong on this, is a lot of like American tourists that come through. They always in Brussels, a beautiful city, lovely city, but I always feel like you really lose if that's the only place you go in Belgium. I mean,
Oh
Ghent,
yeah, absolutely.
Brugge, Antwerp, and it just. I mean, and those are still the big ones. I mean, just the little cities you stop through. Belgium is not a pass through. I feel like they treat it as like a stop, a pass through stop on the tour. And like that, you are missing out. So if
Oh,
you
if you
do
just
go,
saw Brussels, you're missing out on a lot. Absolutely, absolutely.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, and we did have the question. Oh, I think we already had this one. What are the most popular
Yeah,
dishes in Belgium? Yeah, frites, frites with. Oh, you're really popular, man. You got a lot of questions happening there. Oh, yeah. Presume on chips. She must be from the UK. She means French
yeah.
fries,
French fries.
Belgian fries. Hey, Emma. Good to see you. Oh, and Havana's here. Oh, she's from Brazil. They put mayo on their fries as well. And she just has fries. She's not calling them French fries. That's cool. So, her Belgian fries.
But I think they even deleted that French part. They even call them Liberty fries now or something like that to not connect that to France. I don't know, but there are funny things around that.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah,
there's funny things around a lot of like the cultural names. And you know, it's funny because someone asked me about me being a culture coach, and I said, yes, I'm a certified culture coach, and I'll never do it. And they're like, why? I said, that's why. Because there's so many pieces and they're always changing. You know, like we have French fries, are they Belgian fries? Oh, they're Liberty fries. What do we like?
yeah.
That to me, there's so many pieces. There's so many crazy pieces of it. I like to, my feeling on culture is be aware of it, learn about it, see what people are like. But that's always why I do this show, is because it's real people talking about the real country. It's not a book. It's not someone who did 3 years of study and only talks about one aspect. There's so many pieces of subculture within cultures. But it's interesting to get to know people and talk about the fries and places to go and whatnot. All right, and I have Patricia. We're gonna say hi to Patricia, and she's putting mayo on
Mayo
her
and French.
fries
Yeah,
as well. She's in
that's
Portugal.
something we do. Yeah.
So yeah, not the only. Apparently, I'm the only one who has an issue with mayo on my fries. It's just the Americans here that don't want to do that. All right, so I feel like we have wrapped up a lot about Belgium. We went through all the famous things, people, things to see, places to go, great culture to work with, very friendly people. I would like to, unless you have more about Belgium that I missed, I would like to
I'm
dive
thinking.
into. Ariel, he's going through his notes. He came with notes in case you're just tuning in now.
Well,
I'm
if
very
we want,
impressed.
because we really talked about the more, well, visiting part, if you would
Yeah,
come but if you want to live in Belgium, there are a lot of things as well that are interesting. One good thing to know is that we have an excellent standard of healthcare. We're actually starting to become the hotspot for medical tourism in Europe.
really interesting.
Yeah, because we have a lot of high quality medical care widely across the country, and especially due to our large university hospitals. And we have a lot of them in the biggest cities that you named already. We have a lot of them. And that's why we have very short lists for, yeah, a lot of medical treatments. And then a lot of, and it's quite cheap actually as well, compared to other countries. And so, and one of the good things as well is, of course, that our the healthcare or health insurance is part of our social security system. So that means that, yeah, a lot of our, or nearly all the inhabitants have access to a great healthcare system and support and insurance around that as well. So that's quite important as well, I guess.
Yeah, that you know, I didn't know that. That's really interesting that that's a hotspot for you guys. I will say though, like my son was born in Belgium, so and it was amazing. I was amazed. I didn't know how great it was until my sister had a baby in the United States, and I'm like, that is barbaric.
Yeah.
Everything they do is terrible. And well, I only have one child, and I think that might be why. I think I was spoiled by the Belgian healthcare system. It was so good and so over the top caring. That does not surprise me. I didn't know that, but it doesn't surprise me that you are a healthcare hotspot. So healthcare, you already talked about the diamond industry. You have a big port area.
Yeah.
What are some other major industries that are a hot spot in Belgium?
We have a few of them. Pharma industry is quite present as well. A lot of, yeah, I would say what you can find in other countries as well. Since we do a lot of exports with reports, you can find them as well. Well, a lot of that as well. Import export industry, a lot of tech industry as well. A bit less in production, more in software and things like that. Um, and then just, yeah, a lot of different fields that you can find in all different countries as well. And the cool thing as well is that one of the negative parts, if we are talking about business, is that we have one of the highest tax rates ever. So that's
going to let you get the.
So if we're talking about negative points, yeah, maybe that one. But around that, there are actually a lot of entrepreneurs, solopreneurs that you can find in Belgium as well, because we really have that working culture, and it's promoted quite a lot as well around the bigger cities. So you will find a lot of entrepreneurs, small SMEs, in Belgium as well. So depending on the different styles of job you want to do, you will have a lot of different options in there as well. And I think we have a relatively low unemployment rate. I think it's about, in 2020, what is around 5.7%, which is decent. It's not that is not present, but it's okay compared to other countries. I think we're not doing that bad. And yeah, if you look at the legal week, it's 38 hours. And a lot of people, if you do extra time, you paid for that, or in holiday. So I don't know. It's just a great country in general. If you like to party but work and you're serious as well around that, it's an amazing country for that as well.
Yeah. You work hard and you play hard.
Oh yeah.
It's a good country for that.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that is so cool. So yeah, I mean, I think we've obviously told you guys you need to go to Belgium. You need to visit Belgium. You should explore it. I met Pierre-Nicolas through BNI. There are opportunities there as well to work with a lot of different companies there. He's obviously very well connected. Are you a DC at BNI?
I'm an area direct consultant. So I manage a part of the region around Brussels in the Flemish part of Belgium.
So he can connect you. So if you're interested in working in Belgium, this is your guy. I don't bring on just anybody. He's very well connected. And also, I wanted to wrap up again, going back to the sound. So in true BNI spirit, the first time I met him, I said, yeah, I don't know what I'm doing. I get this little thing, a little series thing. I don't even know what it's called. And I think I need a microphone and I don't know what to do. And he says, well, you should probably get this, and just automatically started telling me great things to do. But what I learned from that was there was so much that I could learn and do by myself. And it wasn't something that I knew where to go. I didn't think about Googling, hey, who can teach me about sound? The same with, I don't know if Owen's still here, was like, who can teach me about lights? Because there's a lot of people now since the pandemic that are doing this type of thing, a lot more lives, a lot more of these things. So tell me what you offer. Like if people like me want to know more about sound, want to know the right equipment, you have a little type of academy thing, or do you have consultancies? How do we work with you? How do we figure out what we're doing?
Yeah, so different options depending on, of course, what you're looking for and how much you want to go into that in detail. So I organize often small webinars where I give that little information I already gave you when we talked last time, where I already can give you some basic tips, because it's one thing to tell people about what to buy, but it's another to get them to understand the importance of sound quality. And I think that's an issue that is present, and I try to work on, is to really, get to an end or make other people understand the importance of sound. And often the problem is that you will buy what you see from other people that are doing things. And so there are a lot of very bad examples, and people are just copying those very known people that use the wrong gear. So that's often the problem. And with my sound engineering experience, I created the Sonata Academy, where indeed I also give online courses to train you as an entrepreneur if you want to make your own audiovisual projects. So for instance, if you want to start podcasting or doing live webinars like this, streaming, if you want to create your own audiovisual content, well, I have programs like that where I can teach you what audio gear to invest in and how to use that efficiently. And that can go from different levels. I also have a course for videographers, because there are a lot of independent videographers, video makers around the world. But often they're awesome camera guys, but they don't, and sorry to say it like that, they don't know peep around sound. And yeah, they have great visuals with inferior sound, and it doesn't match, it doesn't work. And so I have a program just for videographers as well, if they want to learn more about sound and really improve their sound quality, that I can teach them as well what gear to invest in and how to use that. And of course, depending on the different projects you want to do and the frequency, there's different gear you could invest in and different prices as well. For instance, what I told you already, if you start with a good sound card, around 90 or $100, you have a good audio device or audio interface, how do we call them? And you get an external microphone, a good one, maybe a shotgun is a great example for that. If I don't want to go too detailed right now, but a great shotgun microphone, and it's for instance, if I like to do that often, is that now I'm using my external microphone, but if I switch back now to the microphone of the computer, I sound completely different, and the sound quality is not the same at all. And that's the cool thing. If you want to enhance your sound, specifically if you're doing a lot of presentations, definitely invest in a good external microphone, because you can hear that my voice already completely changed when I changed those settings right now.
Wow, that is the greatest sales tool ever, by the way. You should do a lot of videos like that. Like, if you want good sound, do that. If you don't, take it off, because you can totally tell the difference. Totally tell the difference. That's amazing. And I did take some of his advice, by the way. I need to do more of his advice. But I did get the mic he told me to. So you should have heard me before. It was way worse. So I obviously, like, this Sonata Academy is amazing. And we had talked about, because I'm in the learning. So I do English as a second language, and there's a lot of us that are working on online courses, learning management systems, things like that. We're making videos, and we need better equipment. So I say a lot, I mean, one of the groups I'm in is almost just 80 people, just in one WhatsApp group of language translators, whatnot. If people have a group that have the same goal, or can they come to you? Can you customize a course or academy for us?
Absolutely. And that's a cool thing, is that I can completely adapt the training I give to a group I'm presenting to. So for instance, we already talked about the possibility to do a presentation and group training for the interpreters and for the language coaches and trainers and people who want to create online courses. So I can really adapt myself in that as well. I'm a podcaster as well. So if there's a specific group of people that need a training around podcast and sound on podcast, I can definitely help you and train you with that as well. So I can adapt myself very easily to your questions and your demands as well.
Yeah, and I just thought, so I knew the answer to that question, but I wanted him to say it, because I think that's really special. I do the same thing. I don't necessarily advertise a group class, because you never find the same people. But if you have a group, it needs the same thing. Come to me, I'll make it. And that's very unique. So when I found out he did the same thing, I thought that's really cool. And we should let more people know, because there are a lot of people, like you said, podcasters. I know a lot of podcasters that are out there kind of like, I don't know, is this the right thing? Is it not the right thing? And very, very affordable, ladies and gentlemen. To get a group together to talk about sound and go to him. So whether you do it privately or you do it in a group, maybe it's your BNI group, maybe it's your power team, language groups, whatever. It's very, very affordable to work with him, and amazing as he demonstrated the difference in sound you can have for just a small tip. So imagine what he can do in an hour or 2 hours or more to teach you about using sound and the equipment, right? Especially if you're just getting into it, because I think a lot of us ran out there and it's like, what does Amazon think I should buy? Like, what do I do? And look at his face. It's like, but I mean, it's so true, because I think it's things we don't think about, right? It's not in our wheelhouse, things we don't know. And I would have never in a million years thought I'm going to Google a sound guy, because to me, that's something that would cost tens of thousands of dollars and happens on movie sets. And I'm thinking, I'm just going to sit in my living room and talk to people. What do I need to? But this is an affordable option that everybody should look into before you go out there and purchase things. Because honestly, the one he told me to get was cheaper than the one that I got. And it's probably 10 times better, if not 20 times better. And it was cheaper than the one that I had purchased before. And I just fortunately ran across him probably about, 10, 15 days after I bought one. I was like, hey, since I'm sitting here with you, what about this thing? It's like, no. So amazing difference. I highly encourage you to reach out to Pierre-Nicolas, Schmitt, and Sonata Productions, Sonata Academy, learn about sound, any type of group you want to put together. He'd be happy to customize it for you. And so thank you for being here. We're getting on an hour. I know your time is precious. I don't want to take too much. But as we part, anything that I forgot, anything you'd like to add for anyone that's still with us?
I think it was very complete, and thank you very, very much for inviting me and for asking all those questions. And I would say, if you want to know more about sound or visit the beautiful country of Belgium and have questions around that, need connections, introductions, please let me know. Please add me, contact me. I'm on LinkedIn as well. Add me on LinkedIn, and I'll gladly help you out with all that information.
Awesome. So if you find him on LinkedIn, if you need to find him, I obviously know where to find him. So hopefully we'll get some new connections for Pierre-Nicolas, and I would love to see more of us using the right sound and getting some groups together to learn about sound, and of course visit Belgium and work more with people from Belgium. So if you need connections there as well, he is a master connector in Belgium. And thank you so much for joining me today. It was a lot of fun. I always enjoy these. This was near and dear to my heart, because I loved living in Brussels, and I would go back to Belgium if I could. I think I'd probably move to Ghent. That's one of my favorites.
Ghent? Yeah. That's cool.
I love.
But then you'll learn Dutch at that point, or Flemish at least.
Oh yeah, maybe. I don't know if that's ever, according to Luca.
With your German, it will be easy. Honestly.
Oh, that's funny. And I also, that's something we didn't. The little candy noses, are those only?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I just thought about those. Those are so funny. They're all over the place too. Is that just in Ghent though? I don't remember seeing those as much in Brussels. Is that a Flemish thing?
So you will have it more in Ghent, but I forgot there are specific cities where they are from, but I forgot the name of the city exactly where they're from. The purple noses.
Why is purple. That? Yeah, why do they make noses? Like, what made you guys decide we should make something in the shape of a nose we should eat?
I don't know. It's amazing. It's nice. I don't know exactly why. But yeah, it's just great. And you can find for instance, we have also in Gersberg the mattetaarten. So if you want, it's a little cake with a lot of almond paste in it, and it's amazing as well. So. Mattetoerte, if you say it in the dialect from there, but mattetaarten, absolutely something you can discover as well. So we have a lot of different local products as well, of course, that you can find. Yeah.
Oh, that's funny. Well, obviously now I'm getting into hard questions, so it's probably time to go since we don't know where the candy noses come from. I just thought about that. I was just thinking about that. Like, I always wanted to know why they made a nose. Because if I remember, Cisco was taking me around. I don't think she knew where they were from either. So it's okay. And she's from Ghent. So
yeah. But then it's not from Ghent itself. But it's probably from the East Flanders region. That might be from there somewhere. But I don't know exactly.
Well, they're really good. If you go, you should also eat a candy nose. Well, thank you again. Wonderful to chat with you. And if you need to be connected anywhere in Belgium or to Pierre, just let us know. We're happy to connect you. And don't forget to check out Sonata Academy and get the right sound equipment. Thank you, Pierre-Nicolas, for everything. And thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Appreciate all the attention that we're getting and all the questions. You guys were very active today, and I really had a great time. So thank you very much, and have a wonderful week.
Thank you, Angie, as well. Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye.